Happy New Year. We're all excited to face the new year with great hopes for our families. And today being that moment of lifestyle where we talk about families, it's a Thursday. We discuss issues to do with family. We certainly are going to do exactly that, even as we take at how best we can ensure in our very own special capacity we have healthy family relationships. I mean, we're coming from an year where, there were a series of events that, sort of were proving day in, day out that the family setup is not really a safe space for a majority of people, women, men, children, name them, which is contrary to what should be, because normally we say, family is where you run to when times are tough, when things are thick outside. But it is proving to be totally different. So we want to go back to the drawing board, just try to understand what have we done that is not right. I mean, what were the prior families or the previous families or the families that were there back then doing that we are not doing, in the current society. And of course, even as we usher in the new year, the first component of a society is the family. So it's only important and fair that we are able to take good care of it. Then moving forward, we're going to spread that good vibe across our workplaces, our schools, across the entire society. So welcome on board. My name is Linda Alela. Let's all usher in this great year with great feel and, with great hope that things are going to be okay. And of course, like I said, Lifestyle Thursday. And joining me on stage, Faris Murangai. Thank you so much. She's a family therapist. Thank you so much for coming in. And Emma Ngonjiri, counselor, who's seated, of course, right next to Faris. Thank you so much for your time. And good to have you. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
I think it's long since we last met.
Yes.
But we're happy to have you again.
I'm happy also that we've met again to be here.
And Emma too. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Welcome.
All right, of course. And straight to it, the family setup, which is pretty much important. I think it's important then we, first of all, ask ourselves, when we're talking about a healthy family relationship, what exactly do we mean by that? Emma?
Yeah, thank you so much. When you talk of a healthy family, that means a health thing is something that is working outright. So that means that it's where what is meant to be given by the family is being found.
Right.
And the first thing is security, support, a place that you can run to. So that is more a healthy family where everyone, a child feels secure in a family. But we are getting to a point where everyone is feeling like it's really not working. There are so many dysfunctional families that we are getting on the way, and we can see a big crisis in our country at this time where we are getting that it's not a safe place anymore. Right. The family is not a safe place. What is to be given from there, the support, the security, is not there anymore. And when we watch the news every day, the first thing that comes up, a family member killed another family member. So it becomes a bigger crisis by the day, and we are so concerned. And maybe we thank Ebru TV for taking care of this, so that we can be able to give the views of what do we do to get back there. Because everyone in the society needs to do something. Yeah.
All right, Faris, a healthy family, like she has rightfully put, is where you get technically what you expect in terms of, something that is going to provide you total comfort in what a human being would need. And I don't know whether it would be right or how you would view this, because many a times there are times when you've gotten into that family setup and of course then came in poverty, tough times, to a point whereby you got used to them. And I've heard women who say, we are being used to, like we're used to being battered, and then that is probably okay. The moment you are used to something, in most cases you'll say that's okay. That is why actually most of the people fear change, because you're like comfortable where you are, that you're scared of what will be in the event that you take this bold move or this next step. So you're comfortable where you are. So amid the toxicity, amid the negativity that is within that family setup, someone gets comfortable to a point whereby they look at it as though it is natural and healthy to be in that environment. Is it okay to say that then this is a healthy family indeed?
In the first place, when you are talking about the health in the family, as Emma has put it, we are basically saying that within that family, there is the ability for people to connect. And there is an opportunity for every person within that family to blossom and to be who they are supposed to be. They are part and parcel of that family, but again, they are individuals who should have an opportunity to grow as individuals.
Right.
Whether you are talking of career-wise or they have talents, a family was never meant to kill that. And I'm picking that from that discussion. You have a husband and a wife. Once they settle down together, one of the person at one point loses who they were in the first place. The issue of violence, the reason why it is normalized within the family setting is the experiences people have from perhaps where they were brought up, and how they saw their mother persevering or their father persevering, or what they have seen within the setting in the community. And so they get into this marriage. It's abusive, yes, but they tend to think it's actually normal because something that they saw happen.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, they feel there is no other way out. This is the only better place to be. They also feel, I don't want to be considered a failure, because people sometimes have a challenge of handling failure, which is a key thing now. When you see men killing wives or wives doing, you know, they are not able to manage any element of failure. So one feels, I can't walk out of this marriage because I'll be considered a failure. In my family, no one, everybody has a working marriage. Or among my peers, they have a working marriage. So why should I leave? I should stick here. Or I have children, I should stick here with the children.
Right.
And it's a multifaceted problem that needs to be dissected so that people are equipped to have the ability to read the warning sign, and they don't stick where their life is endangered. They can seek the necessary help and the necessary support. There is a case that came yesterday in the evening about this lady who was beheaded in Molo by the husband. They have had hiccups, and yesterday they were saying on Sunday morning, of course, they had a disagreement. The lady went back to her parents' home, but the husband followed and they talked. And she agreed to go back home, only for that gentleman to come in the afternoon and kill her in the salon. You see, even this idea of solving very complex issues, and you take it so easy, while we are respecting the traditional setting and its ability to solve issues, we also need to understand that problems are more complex today. They are more dynamic, and there is a need for serious engagement so that more can be done than just telling them, say sorry,
I know.
or mom, sorry,
Michelle.
and you go back home
Right,
together.
yes, and pray, say
And
sorry,
pray.
it's sorry, and all
Yes,
that. And
yes, yes.
True to it, I agree. And that should have been, of course, some days ago. When we're talking about having a healthy relationship, before we even delve deep into understanding that, I think then it's important that a reminder of us, now that you brought that particular case that played out in Molo, we just take a look at what has happened in the year 2019, or what happened in the year 2019 in regards to, you know, having healthy relationships, family relationships for that matter, because then we go a notch higher and not just look at a healthy family, but a healthy family relationship, because it could be healthy, but then within ourselves, there are people who do not have proper relationships, and that in a way sort of cripples that aspect of it being a healthy family. So let's listen into what, or maybe just take a look at some of the cases that we compiled that played out in regards to relationships that of course crop up from us not having proper relationships from the word go, and then come in to understand, you know, at that perspective of, you know, counseling as you know, that perspective of having a therapist coming on board, how best then can we work towards having, you know, a healthy family relationship. Let's take a look.
Over the last few months, news of women being killed by their husbands or lovers have hit the headlines. The continuing trend has raised alarms countrywide that female MPs launched a Her Life Matters campaign to educate the public on the value of lives. Dozens of women have been murdered in love gone sour cases. Some of the suspects in these murders have ongoing court cases while others remain a mystery.
As government, we must accept that we have failed them. We must accept.
Kina mama tumefika ukutani na kina mama tunalia, kina mama tumechoka. Kila siku tunasikia tu kwa maruninga, kwa ma-TV. Leo huyu ameshinjwa, yule kesho sijui amenyongwa, yule kesho tunaona amerushwa kwenye mto, yule amerushwa kwa bahari. Haya matukio yote ni ya nini jamani?
Love does not kill. Love does not hate. It's about time we turned around and talk and have a conversation around protection and support for our women.
When Ivy Wangeshi was hacked to death by her childhood friend Naftali Kinuthia, a popular local radio station ran a segment mocking her death. Wangeshi was killed while walking to her hostels from school a few days before her 25th birthday and a few months to her December graduation.
The suspect will be taken to hospital at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, that is, on the 10th day of April 2019 and the 23rd day of April 2019 for review and treatment. In
May this year, 24-year-old prison warder Pauline Wangari Ngoi was killed at her home in Kiharo, Murang'a County. A suspect identified as Joseph Ochieng confessed to the murder. A 26-year-old mother of two from Nakuru, Lucy Nyira, died in October from burn wounds inflicted by her husband after she came home late. In November this year, a KDF soldier, Major Peter Mugure, was accused of dragging and strangling his estranged wife, Joyce Tiombua, and his children, Shanice Maua and Prince Michael, and then burying them in a shallow grave at an abandoned compound in Thingithu Estate in Nanyuki. And to add insult to injury, physical assault was not the only thing that women had to endure this year. Cases of men insulting women verbally is on the rise. In June, during Madaraka Day celebrations, Nairobi woman representative Esther Passaris walked out of the podium as Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko made a speech at Pumwani in protest at his remarks. Sonko was also engaged in a bitter social media spat with Suba North MP Millie Odhiambo, in which he attacked her over her childless condition. The exchange was sparked by the governor's remarks over the matrimonial life of the late Kibra MP Ken Okoth. On June 13, 2019, Wajir woman representative Fatuma Gedi was left blooded after she was assaulted by Wajir East MP Rashid Kasim. Following a brief argument, Gedi accused him of leaving his constituency out of the budgetary allocation. Gedi was left with a bloody mouth after the morning incident in Parliament's precinct in a reportedly unprovoked attack by Kasim.
Speaker, all of us have children. Speaker, all of us have children. So Speaker, this house, there is a stranger. And it has never happened since 1963.
In August this year, Kwale woman representative Zulekha Hassan was kicked out of parliament for bringing her baby to work. Hassan said she took a 5-month-old baby girl, Mwana Baraka, to work after failing to get childcare.
The Honorable Zulekha kindly withdraw with decorum.
The incident, which happened during World Breastfeeding Week, highlighted a lack of equal representation for women in parliament. It also highlighted a lack of workspaces that accommodate breastfeeding or childcare needs for women.
Order! Order, members!
In October, a 3-judge bench began hearing a case by Dr. Tatu Kamau, who is seeking to have female genital mutilation legalized in Kenya. In her case, she argues that women have a right to choose whether they want to go through the process, and prohibiting it infringes on their freedom of choice and also prevents them from practicing their culture. Despite Kenya having progressive laws and policies, a lack of implementation has seen women and girls continue to face discrimination. According to Equalities Measure 2030, the impact of legal and policy frameworks on the lives of girls and women has been undermined by weak implementation and lack of gender-responsive budgeting. Many girls and women still lack access to basic services, and women remain underrepresented in decision-making positions and political leadership. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Yes, just recap on what played out in 2019 in regards to the violence that was meted upon women. And many a times these are the told stories, because then women are considered to be vulnerable, you know, that the female gender is more vulnerable for that matter. But then there are very many untold stories that involve, of course, men who've been battered, who are living in relationships that are not healthy enough within their family setup, and even worse translates to children who sort of feel like they're being abused by their very own parents or their guardians for that matter. So looking at what is currently happening, and we're just sort of young into the year, and we're looking at 2019 and we're a little bit scared because we do not want to carry the very same tough occurrences to this new year. So when you look at what is happening in the Kenyan society, I mean, how then can we rate, or where can we rate ourselves in terms of that healthy family relationship setup?
I think maybe we're not doing so well. We might not be very specific about the percentages. Yeah, but I think socially we are not doing so well. One, because maybe we are as a society we are learning new things. As development comes, you keep on learning new things, socially, economically. That is normal for any nation that happens. However, I think what we need to do is to, just as Faris was talking about the old ways of solving conflicts might not be working so well today, because as they say, a child learns what they live, what they see every day. That's what they will be, and so we get more scared looking at what we are making our children learn, looking at the now 2019 and what they have learned and what they will live, because it has become, we are just wondering, it started as a one case report. Now it becomes like an everyday report, because it looks so normal. It has been normalized by the society. Like, it's not a big deal to kill someone. Initially it was such a big deal, it could take the whole village like 2 days to mourn this and to talk about it. But we are so emotionally mature, if I would say, as a nation, that it scares us where we headed to if we don't do anything, if we don't embrace counseling, if we don't embrace therapy. Like, if I don't have help, yes, the parents said, Salimianeni, a prayer is said, and then we continue. What are the underlying issues? Because more we deal with what is on top, wanakosana, and so we talk, and that is done. But there are so many maybe underlying issues, because now when we compare the older times, the mother was home 24/7, take care of the kids and take care of anything that has happened. So emotionally, socially, they were well. They have somewhere to run and talk about this. Now, mothers are working, so we can't say they won't work because this is the need as per today. But what do we do about now the connection of this child and the need, the maternal need that she has or he has? So where will they take them? Are we taking time to listen to them? Are we also taking time as a couple? Because as we say, we are individuals even in the relationships, as Faris was saying. Is my husband helping me to be who I'm meant to be? Am I helping him to be? Because most of the times, now it becomes like when you're a couple, all our deals are the same, but my vision is different, his vision is different. Yes, we are a family at a given point where we need to sit and maybe see where is our family going, but where am I going as an individual? And that limitation of growth is what may be bringing a lot of crisis. Someone feels, maybe a man feels insecure, my wife is doing well, and maybe I'm not doing, I don't have a job. And instead of thinking, yes, I don't have a job, what else can I do? What else would make me earn, or what support would I get from my wife so that I can actualize my dreams, my vision. He becomes insecure, and that is why we see, like in the clip that we have just watched, the woman was late to get home, and so she was late because there are some fears. There's also an ego crisis. Like the older times said, a man should be earning more than a woman. But are we helping them to learn how to coexist even if you're not earning more, or are we telling our girls asikusumbue, because as a society we are letting them see if as a girl something has come up, you just come home. So I remember I was in a training somewhere, and one of the girls said, But the society thinks it's normal for you to be single and to have your children. But so we were discussing about the children, the future, and the kids, and how will that happen? Because this child growing without a father, that is a crisis waiting.
Right.
Because the normal needs of any human being is maternal and paternal interactions. But now it's not there.
In this case, then in the event that things have not worked, and we always say it's healthy to step out, then it means that the mom will go her way with probably the kids. A clear indication then there'll be, an absenteeism at some point in time. So at what point then do we come to salvage this? Do we bring on board a father figure, or how do we address that?
Yeah, that is now what we are talking about. Now in Kenya, we need this, where this woman would want to get help. Because most of the times that we think, that guy is the problem. So alikuwa ananichapa, ananifanya nini, and so when I get out, I think I'm okay. So the thing is, look for help. Look for a counselor, a therapist who can work with you. First of all, because you are already sick by the emotional traumas that maybe you went through there, even the children, look for help. Then when you are relaxed, we might look for, now he will help you or she will help you see the way forward. Do we involve a father figure? Do we also maybe want to help this father? As much as we are separate, he takes his responsibility. Not where we think we go to court, we force you to do things, and it will also traumatize the kids. So the better thing is, yes, we don't want you to stay in a bad marriage where you are abused and all that, but look for help. Even when you get out, look for help. And I hope the government will get where that we get therapists near to the society. Like in the hospitals, when I go there, I will get a therapist, because most of the people don't know. You say a counselor, go to Ushago and talk about a counselor, they're thinking, okay.
I know.
So
some of them look at it as though it's an expensive affair. You'd rather, get that free advice from an old person at home, and everything is paid instead of spending some money on it. And now, coming to that space, because then I always liked referring to this, because then it was the latest, of course, in regards to, family setups and how relationships are as it is. It was the latest research, and that was in 2019, where there was that declaration that the home is no longer considered as a safe space for the woman. Maybe that's the reason why most of the people will always talk about the women, as in that is not a place they can run to, because that is where, of course, the toxicity is at the highest of levels. So most of them would opt out. You want to go to the office and stay late and get back home late when, of course, everyone else is asleep. And, as a woman, then again, you're not allowed to do that. At least for a month, they can say, I'll go out and then come back late, and no one is going to question that. So when we come to that point where we want to say that we want to set up measures or come up with measures that are supposed to be considered towards ensuring that you make the best of your relationship, ensure that it is, healthy for that matter. What are some of the key things that we should start with? Even before you get into marriage, even before it gets to, that level of courtship and all that. Are there early stages and measures and precautions that we should take, so that at least we ensure that when we are into it, then it is indeed a healthy process?
Thank you. I think one of the most important things before getting into a marriage is to take time and understand what marriage is, what marriage means, and what is required for you when you get into marriage, and of course what is expected of your partner, so that by the time you are getting into a marriage relationship, you are prepared and you know what the package is and what is your part in that particular marriage and what you're supposed to do. No one is born with a manual, or no one goes into a marriage with a manual on how it will work. But there is usually an opportunity for one to seek to know before they get there, because resources are out here and they are available. But what happens today is people walk into marriage very easily, and they also leave it very easily. And if they don't leave, they suffer in it, and it never meets the expectation they had when they were getting into it. Today you have religious institutions, churches, providing what is referred to as premarital counseling,
Yeah.
which is good if it's well structured and meant to equip that particular person with the necessary information and give them the skills that they need to use when they are into marriage. Of course, we also have them happening in some institutions, counseling institutions, marriage institutions. They are providing. So if one is willing to interrogate and understand before they get into it, it's very important so that we avoid these situations where you have people at the age of 15, 17, 18. First, they are still children. They have jumped into marriage. They have very limited information of what marriage is. Perhaps the best they know is cook, bring money home, work in the farm, have children, have sex, period. But if there is that moment of reflecting what it means for you in your life in relation to your career, in relation to who you are as an individual, then one would also have an opportunity to scout for a person who can support or they can rhyme with as they move together in marriage. So having the necessary information is usually very important.
All right, of course, this and much more we come to proceed with, of course, after this break, because there's still so much so in regards to equally how then we step from that side of talking about now the two key figures, that is the mother and the father, or maybe the two people who are in love, and then we talk about the children who are equally involved, the family members, the friends outside who are equally involved, because clearly they also play a huge role towards ensuring that, you know, a family setup is well balanced and a family setup sort of feels like comfortable in what they consider a family. So we'll discuss that and much more after this break. Welcome back, and we're discussing that healthy family relationship, which is key. Of course, the main backbone of the society is the family setup, and like I started by saying, it's important that we ensure that we keep it checked so that moving forward, we're able to have a healthy society. And coming to you, Emma, there's that aspect of the children, there's that aspect of, you know, extended family, there's that aspect of friends and all that. Before we come to friends and the relatives aside, how then can parents ensure that they combine authority and, of course, give children freedom? Because then this is a catch-22. Like you have rightfully put it, if we have to have a healthy family or a healthy relationship, that, I mean, at least we should ensure that we balance every other time. And we'll always have hiccups, you know, we'll always have differences. But how we handle them is very important. So sometimes we set up guidelines on how we're going to handle issues in the event that they arise. So equally, there's that time when you bear children and they're growing and they're experiencing different stages of life, you know, and they transition to different stages. There are times they'll feel like they've outgrown that feeling of where you're supposed to, you know, just man them around, and they want to experience their freedom. So as a parent, how then do you come in to ensure that you balance this, and equally ensure that as you balance this, it does not bring hiccups between you and the children and also you and your partner?
Thank you so much. Each home is very different. Each individual is so different, and that is how we make very different homes. That is why you will hear people say that our family, this is how we do it in our family. So there's something like maybe a culture that you would build in our family, but before any culture being built, the most important thing is being closer to the children. You know, being there for them, not it might not be very physical because we have other needs that maybe will take us out, but do we know each other? Me and my children, do we know each other? How close are we? Would I sit here and be very sure that my child would come and tell me anything that is happening to them? You know, because most of the things that maybe are what we experience today are traumas that are the kids experienced in their young age. Maybe a child was abused and he could not or she could not say this to their parents because there wasn't that closer. So when this child grows, he gets to that point that he would want to be abusive because of where he's coming from, something he was not able to communicate to the parents. So I think the most important thing would be the closer, because all children are different. Even if maybe they're 4, they're 3, you will get different personalities. So as a parent, how are you handling each personality? You know, because in the family, that is when we learn to be loved, to be rejected, to be hurt in a given way. So how do we balance all this? I have 4 children who need some attention, who need me. How do I balance all this? And you want to put on
Yeah,
something?
and to add on to that, for the children in the family setting, when there is a healthy relationship between the father and the wife, the children are able to learn.
Okay.
Because mainly from birth to up to around the age of 9, they learn best by observing how it is done within the family setting. So if there is respect within the family, between the father and the mother, or if it's one parent, she's exhibiting respect for the other people she's interacting with, and the children know, they learn how to respect. If there is good communication, they learn what good communication is all about. Right. If there is good feedback, they just, by default, you don't even need to tell them, they pick it up. So by observation, it's very important. But again, family setting values, it's usually very, very important. But they should be set from a positive point of view, not a negative point of view. So that once those values have been set, or what people would popularly refer to as do's and don'ts, then the children will appreciate the boundaries that have been set. They also appreciate if they see what you are saying as a parent is actually what you are doing. It's not a double speak. Right. What you have agreed with them is also what you are doing. So if there is no lying as an agreement in the family, also don't lie. Because if you lie, they will know you can say don't lie, but they will go ahead and cheat you because it's normalized. So the aspect of living what you are saying, setting the standards is very important. And usually what this does, if you are consistent within the family setting, it creates a subculture of that particular family. And you know, the beauty of it, culture is a tool of survival. Right. They know this is the culture of our family. We as Peters, or we as this is our way of doing things. That if I'm out of home, I usually communicate. Right. If I'm going away for several days, I usually say. They form a culture of their own. And it is possible then, when they get into their own family setting, they can positively influence. Because what is positive influences. It is possible to influence also where they will settle in their marriage. So that relationship is key. And of course now, the whole component of getting connected with the children, as the counselor is saying, becomes very important.
All right, and picking up from what you people are saying is that it's clear that sometimes when we're talking about a healthy, respectful relationship, you know, within the family setup, then doesn't necessarily mean that it's all about the positives. That there are times we'll also have interactions that are negative, but then again, in the real sense, we should not have them outnumber the ones that are positive for that matter. And equally, how we deal with the negatives is also very important. I mean, he distracted your line of thought. If you would top in or top up to basically what you were saying, even as we proceed to understanding that relationship that should be there between parents and children.
Just thought maybe I may pick what he has just said, because most of the time that you will get a normal lie, you know. He just reminded me somewhere. I was in a matatu with my daughter, and someone was asked by phone, you know, he's on phone and saying, tuko hapa, you know, a given very funny, a very common, it looks a very common lie. And then my daughter looked at me and said, what? Mom, kwani hapa ni wapi? You know, he's wondering, she's wondering. And then I smiled. So later I had to pick that and talk about it, you know, because if you leave it at that, you think it's okay, it's normal to say, niko Nairobi and maybe I'm in a very different place. So I think those are the things that maybe most parents ignores, you know. Sisi nikisema niko hapa ndio nisimcheleweshe, but that is picked by a child. Because imagine this parent was with a child, he will think it's okay to lie. Right. So if my dad asks me, where are you? I will say a very different thing. But for this, now my daughter was looking at me asking, you always say lying is no good, but there's a dad lying to whoever they're talking to on phone. And so I would say also the values, as I said earlier, children learn by what the parents live. So what you would want of your child, are you living it yourself?
Well, we may also say that, and we acknowledge that families are different and the setups are different. But I would want to assume that there are some key factors, you know, that compose of course, or maybe the comprise of what family values would be. So probably, if we would name 2, 3, 4 of them that, you know, will be ultimate, that will be general across all family setups, you know, and we'd say that these are healthy family relationships, and these are the things that you probably are supposed to do as a family setup towards getting that. Something as simple as that. Overlook such simple lies. You know, there must be those key pillars that, you know what, even the lamest of person, even the person who's walking into marriage without the slightest of idea of what marriage is all about. Because probably there's someone who's listening to us and they're listening to this, you know, would walk with and say, okay, well, at least let me start from this one point.
So maybe if I would start, I think the first most important thing is communication. Because most of the times that you get angry and someone just assumes, you know, like, I don't care, then things just sort themselves out. That means there are so many things that are building up under that it's just by a given time that it'll come to pop up. So I think the most important thing in any family is communication. It might not be a good one, you know, we agree to disagree. So, but we need to communicate. And communication, the other thing is, and the most also very important to communication is listening. You know, because most of the time that communication becomes an argument, a fight, and all that. But can we learn to listen to each other? You know, like, let me listen to his views, and then later he is also ready to listen to my views. The other thing is a set of boundaries. You know, as much as we are in the same family, how far is so far? What is a privacy to maybe the grown-up kids? How are we setting our line, even to the neighbors, even to the society? How far is so far in our And the other thing is, the most also important thing is building of our culture as a home. You know, as we said, we are all very different. We come from very different cultures. But what is that we can say our children will own as a culture of our family? You know, the values, all those things, they will be built by the cultures we build around our home. That is when they say, you know, my mom said this, you know, my dad used to say this. And you will hear a lot of people go back to that. So what kind of cultures would we want our kids to pick? And that is how individual families are very different. It's like a rhythm, you know. We have a song, we're making a rhythm. You will, if I tell you to do that, for those who are musicians, you will do a very different rhythm from what I can make, and that is why we get different songs. What kind of a rhythm do I really want to go down doing it in my family?
All right, it's work in progress, and one then would say that after knowing this, there's that need of understanding how to maintain that, you know, sort of healthy relationship, that calm.
Maybe I can add one
point on this one.
On that one, and that is respect. For one another. If they see that the father is respecting the mother is respecting the father, the children are also respecting, they will respect each other, even as siblings. And it's a place where now feels safe to be in because they are respected and they are valued. And
is there an essence or a need to, you know, sort of come on board and maybe just add some more value into it by, you know, reminding them that actually it's important to respect? Because one would then say, if I respect my wife, then automatically my children will do that. And you forget to remind them that it's important to respect each other, it's important to respect the people out there and everything. So some of the people say, okay, let's just lead by example and sit down and wait and see. Is it important to have such conversations, like for instance, in line with communication, like she was saying?
Yes, because, you know, there is a language that is very necessary, and they need to know even the right words to use. So you keep guiding them. You know, they are work in progress. So they're observing, that is one. It's part of communication, which has a significant proportion in communication itself. But also words, which constitute, unfortunately, about 7% of the communication. is also important because it has the wording itself and the terms that are going to be used. But once you say them, then back them up with the tone you are using and your body language, the facial expression, and the others, so that they pick from it. Yes.
And also on the same note, maybe I would also add on when children are not just learning from us, from the parents, they're also learning it out there. They will go to school, they will have people who don't care what they say, and you as a parent pick a learning moment. Because when they're young, they will say exactly what they had, They're trying to learn. But, as we had said earlier, don't be the tough guy or the tough mom. Like you hear the word, I don't want you to ever hear you saying that again. I think it's good to hear, to relax and maybe just want to know where you land and it's not right, not with condemnation, because with the condemnation, he will keep quiet because you have said, and he will never say when you're there, but he will say it through.
When you're not so conversation should have a conversation towards that. Equally, you talked about drawing the lines, and when we're talking about drawing the lines, then this is just within the family setup, that is at the nuclear level. Then we look at the extended levels, which equally is a part and parcel of us, and it's pretty much hard to say that we can have a family setup and forget or overlook the parents of my husband or overlook the parents of your wife and all that. So when we're talking about friends and relatives, where then should we draw that line? Because we've had numerous of families, crumbling down, and all was attributed to the fact that, he was listening so much so to the mom, or the mom was not happy with this wife and all that, and it becomes a terrible experience. By the time we realize it, it's too late.
I think from what Faris had said earlier, we have avenues where people, what exactly is marriage? And despite whatever it is, what does it mean to me? So what will it mean to me and my in-laws? If now we are in maybe the sister-in-laws, can we be able to discuss together before marriage? What are we looking at? We are looking at two families. So what does that mean to us? Because they will come visiting, someone will come and want to stay for a year, for a week, for a whatever. What does that mean to us? Can we talk about it? Is it okay for all of us? Can we discuss it differently? What do we want to handle about the boundaries? That is when you can be able to communicate even in a better way. Like, I'm not happy. Yes, you're my brother. Or who will communicate? If a brother comes or maybe does something bad about maybe in the family, who would want to attend to that? How do we go about it? Or will I feel, yes, you attacked my brother because he's my brother, lakini wenu, you don't want to.
Okay,
So I think it's a more of an agreement between the families. How far is too far?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
A healthy decision-making process, as Emma is saying, which is inclusive, is very important. So that whatever decision you are making with regard to other parties out there, every other person is involved. So that my brother does not just show up one day in my home and he stays there for 3-4 months and my wife has was not involved in that decision making. So an inclusive decision making is very important. But I also want to say the relationship with a bigger family, extended family, is a reality because we are Africans in the first place, and they matter to us so much, and they have a role they play in our lives. That's why during Christmas period you find people are leaving the city to go and be with them in the rural areas because there is a social and emotional part of it where they play. But putting the boundaries on the level of interaction is very important. How far should they interfere with a marriage or a nuclear family is what should be very clear. And either of the party should not say they are siding with their own. The husband sides with the mother and the father, the same case applies to the wife. There is a certain diameter or perimeter which cannot be penetrated because that is their space. There is a safe space. No one should enter that. Let the others come and be free.
Okay, sorry. Gradually, they keep on learning. The extended family will learn, so we can go up to this point. Because if I want to communicate something to my sister, I'm very sure the husband knows, you know, so they won't play games because by psychology, people play games by not very consciously, you know, you can see a simple allude of doing a given thing. So it will be, the outer world will not affect if you build a boundary that this is up to this point.
Yeah.
So they won't take advantage and they won't feel set out because they know they respect the family and the boundaries.
And I would want to assume that that equally applies with, you know, friends who are always considered to be, you know, close friends. And you talked about Christmas, then it reminded me of events of life, the phases of life, the transitional processes for our children. And, you know, equally, you know, what we say, career transitions within ourselves and all that. So, especially right now, after Christmas session, it's the new year. And yesterday we were talking about resolutions, and sometimes you make resolutions as an individual, but once you get into that space of the family, then you realize that all the resolutions that you make also in a way will directly or indirectly affect the people who are around you. So then it stops you from having an individual approach, and then you have a collective approach where, okay, well, the event that this is my New Year's resolution, apart from the fact that, okay, I want to add weight. Sometimes you even think about adding weight and you're thinking, okay, will my husband be happy with it? Will they not be happy with that? And a couple of times we've seen that, you know, you come and ask your husband, are you okay with this? Are you not okay with this? And all that. So when we are talking about the events of life, the phases of life, the transitioning processes for our children and all that, how then is the best way to approach such moments so that we run away from, of course, the unhealthy you know, issues that would crop up? Because I have seen that, you know, even when it's time for your child, they have probably cleared high school, or maybe they've cleared, you know, sort of a certain level of, you know, education, and they'd want to proceed to the next one. A mom would want the child to be a doctor, the dad would want the child to be this thing, and then there's that commotion, and the child, you know, equally wants to be something different in life, and it becomes a lot of commotion and making general decisions, especially during eventful times. So how do you ensure that you proceed to make them as you balance that factor of the relationship within the family setup so that it is not braced?
It should be appreciated, as you have rightfully put it, that within a healthy family, people should grow to their fullest potential.
Okay.
At the point where the family is a barrier to it, then there could be a problem somewhere. Of course, there are two resolutions. If you would look for, we use resolutions as an example. There are those resolutions you are making as an individual, and it's allowed because there is individuality.
Yeah,
and yes, about you. And individuality is different from individualism because you'll be able, at an individualistic level, it is where you are just pushing your own agenda, irrespective of what will happen to the others. If I have decided that I'm going to drop my job this year and go back to school, irrespective of the implication, I'll drop the job.
Okay.
Right? That is being individualistic.
Not selfish. Okay,
Yes,
well,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
more or less
yeah,
the same
yeah,
thing, which is unfair.
It's unfair.
Yes.
It's unfair to the family. But there is also an opportunity for me. I can still pursue my education. But again, I'll have discussed with those who are going to be affected so that we see the implications. What are the possible ways in which I can still do what I want to do without generally affecting the others who are looking up onto me, okay? So I can pursue who I am in the context of the family. What will matter? It will matter on when it will be done. It may not be done now. It may be delayed for a day or 2 days, which is what we call discipline. Because, you know, you want to have an inclusive decision-making process. So let every individual within the family set their own resolutions. Then you come and sit down together. You say, this one does not affect me. If you tell me you want to be going to do jogging in the morning, that will not probably affect me or us as a family. So pick it up, go for it. But if you tell me you want to go back to school, that will cost us $500,000. What does it mean? Probably don't start now. Let's start it mid-year so that we are able to adjust ourselves, or even let's do it next year. So it is possible for everyone to come with their resolutions. Then you look at them, see what affects directly everybody, and agree on how to go about it, what does not affect, and you can move on with it, just move on with it.
Amazing. Now, I don't know how true this is. Okay, well, let me not say I don't know how true this is. It could be true to me. I could be understanding. But then, like we say, you know, on different levels, people will understand that differently. Even before people get to marry, sometimes they will go to the extent of wanting to understand their partners deep. And when you want to understand your partner deep, you go to that level of understanding their religion. And now that the religion factor comes in, the godly aspect comes in. And the essence of this is building up a healthy relationship within the family setup. Some people are Muslims, some are Hindu, some are Christians, and all in their respective ways will always look up to the ultimate God to see to it if they can, he or she can be, okay, well, a guiding factor, or God can be a guiding factor within their family setup. What then is the essence and importance of this? Or people still can go away, they can figure out themselves within the family setup and, you know, just set up, you know, structures within their very own special way and overlook the godly factor or the religion factor, or you know, the good books and what they dictate.
Wow, thank you. A normal human being, to be told like you have grown well. You have some aspects that will be measured by maybe self, the society, and all that. And we have 5 of them, and the first one is socially. Are you grown? Socially, are you able to deal with other people? Are you maturing in that aspect? Then another thing is emotionally. Are we emotionally grown? When you get angry, what do you do? You know, how do you react to anger? Are you able to manage your emotions? And the other thing is physically, which is normal. You know, you will grow physically, but you also need to maybe know how healthy would I grow physically. Do I need maybe to do some exercise? Do I need to change my eating habits? Do I need to, whatever else you need to grow healthy physically. And then the other thing is intellectually. Intellectually, are you maybe going back to school? Are you that combined maybe with the economics, your career, and all that. And the most important thing is also spiritual. What is your spiritual level growth? Because whether we are Hindus, we are Christians, we are Muslims, there's the ultimate God that we would talk about, that super person beyond us. You know, when we get to the head of a human being, what does that other mean? Yeah. So when we get there, I think it's an important, very important aspect in the family. Like, what are we looking up to? Because when my dad can go up to this point at a given point, so what next? Who else is beyond there? You know, so it's good to direct the family towards spiritual growth. That means maybe which church do we go? Which book do we talk about? Are we Muslims? Are we Hindus? So what is the culture of this religion? You know, and helping them grow spiritually. That they, you know, just being human doesn't mean that okay, like you have another need of an ultimate God. So that is a very, very important point as an individual or as a family in the growth of every person.
And I would want to assume, as we wind up, that then will also be part and parcel of ensuring that you cultivate that you know, healthy relationship that you've set up as a family. Because, as we said, you cannot just wake up and instill this value and assume that that value will be taken and that's the end of it. There's importance of maintaining, cultivating it, and, you know, going that extra mile, you know, to foresee a situation whereby such would happen and say, you know, be proactive enough to remind them that, you know, in the event such a thing happens, this is how you deal with it in a mature way and all that. So in the cultivation aspect, as we wind up, yes?
I wanted to add something. When you are preparing to get into marriage, considering the faith of the other is very important because religion is a source of conflict. Religion can lead to an unhealthy family. Just as it has a positive contribution, it has a whole baggage of negative contribution. So when you are getting into marriage, it is good to agree how your faith is going to marry along the way. And preferably, you have an agreement on it. So that down the line, You do not even confuse the children, where they will wonder, are we Hindu? Are we Muslims? Do I go to my father's Hinduism? Do I go to my father's Islam? And in the process of gaining their own identity, because at the teenage level, where they gain their identity, religion becomes a concern to them on how to identify them. So as part of ideology. So it must be clear also as you walk down the line, as you get into marriage, as you parent, those things need to be very clear.
So as we wind up then, briefly 30 seconds on cultivating this. I know within what we've said, I mean, there are equally ways of ensuring that you cultivate it. But, you know, who's the ultimate person who's supposed to be the driving figure towards ensuring that this is maintained at the core, you know, for the realization of a healthy relationship, not just at a particular moment, you know, 1 year, 2, 3 years, but ultimately during the lineage of the entire family.
Whoever is heading that family, if the father is there, let him play his rightful role and be very dynamic to address all the aspects of life. If it's the mother there alone, then she has that opportunity to work on it and seek support. And the father also, if he's alone, also seek, because children also need a mother figure.
Important as the conflict comes on board, because many times the father will feel like, yes, of course, he's the head of the house, but sometimes I would feel like, you know, I'm the one who's calling the shots. That's said that when the mom is calling the shots, they would tend to give them that look of, you know, keep off. This is my duty. So how do we address that, you know, sort of conflict that would arise in between to ensure that we maintain it in a good way?
I would say, I think the most important thing is being proactive by both the parents, where I take responsibility and involve the other person. So I would say a double approach is also good, where I would want to listen. So huyu mtoto alifanya nini na nini, can we talk about it before we address it? Would it be maybe the dad has a different view, the mother has a different view, so that at the end of the day, we don't allow this child to have a space of just taking advantage, what I was saying earlier, playing games on us.
All right, thank you so much, Faris Murangai. Thank you so much for your time, family therapist, and Councillor Emma Njeri. It was great having you. And you know, family is diverse. We can talk about family day in, day out. And that is to say, we're sure going to have you again, because then there are numerous things that we need to learn as a family setup. So moving forward, we work together in tandem. Yes, we have to say Happy New Year once again. And yes, Happy New Year's to the viewers back at home. And as always, a promise that we'll be doing this towards ensuring that we make the best of our families. My name is Linda Lela. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.